Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. And hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 1003, everybody. Well, we've got a great interview for you today. We're going out into, this was recorded just about 2 weeks ago, and we're going out into the polar vortex, into the Midwest. Speaking with Will Paxton. He's coming to us from Stuart, Nebraska. He's going to be talking to us about public speaking, getting started with the beekeeping business, selling honey for the first time this year as a freshman in high school, and what has got him so excited about the FFA. It's a real fun interview, and man, are they going through some times back there as we record this interview when it comes to the weather. We'll talk about all that with Will coming up right now. Will, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, you bet. It is my pleasure to speak with you. And my producer, Elliot, and I, we were just talking about the irony of we got some good snow here in Idaho over the weekend, and he got stuck coming up my driveway coming into the studio today. But the weather we're having here is nothing compared to what you're having back there in Nebraska. You're actually out of school today. They give you a snow day, or I guess a power day?
Yeah. Being it's so cold and our town's just running on janitor energy, they wanted to conserve power, so they're asking everyone to shut off as many lights as you can, and they canceled school so that we can do that.
Wow. And so your whole town is on generators right now?
Yeah. Yep, the whole town.
No kidding. So we're recording this. It's February 16th, so your episode's actually coming out on the 24th, so it'll hopefully by the time the episode comes out, you're all back to normal. But you guys are right in the middle of this really historic, I guess, polar vortex right now, right?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. The number of people who are without power is just, we haven't seen anything like it, really.
Man, that's insane. Wow. So the power outages, do you know, because I keep reading stories about Texas, but I have not read stories about Nebraska, and obviously they can't cover every single story out there. What has caused your power outages? Why are you guys on generator power right now?
Well, it's just been getting so cold, and people have been running their heaters more and more, that our natural gas is just so depleted right now that it's taken a toll really on our electricity place. And so they're having the generators come in we have 2 generators here in Stuart, and they're running both of them just to power the town.
Wow. Well, that is amazing. Well, I hope it ends soon. We were saying off the air, you think by this weekend it's supposed to be over, huh?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Okay.
Hopefully.
So a few days to go. My goodness. And your high today is 3 below?
Correct. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced highs that low in Nebraska in your 14 or 15 years?
No, I have not. Just the other day, the high was -12. Wow. So it's nothing we've ever heard of. It was crazy.
That is crazy. Man, I complain about the weather in Idaho all the time because I want more interesting weather. But the lowest we've got for a high has been about 34 degrees. And so I'll take it west of the Rockies here. I'll take it. Oh, my goodness. That is really cold. I can't imagine all the issues it causes, and we'll talk about that coming up with your SAE as well. So you're in your first year of high school right now. Is that correct?
Yep, I'm a freshman.
Okay. How old are you?
15 years old, yep.
Okay. And so where you live, are you in town then, or are you out on a farm, something in the middle of those two? Tell us about where you live.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the outskirts of town. We don't live in a huge town. It's only about 600 people. But I'm about 10 blocks away from school.
Oh, okay. So you can walk to school, except when it's a high of 16 below. Okay. So you're in town. And so what brought you into the FFA then? Why did you join the FFA?
Well, when I was in the 5th grade, I started keeping bees. And man, I just loved it. And I didn't really know much about FFA at the time. I'd done 4-H, but in junior high, we had kind of an informational night about FFA and different events that we could compete in, like CCM and different speaking events. And so I definitely wanted to try those. I've always been kind of a fan of public speaking.
Okay.
I did it a lot in 4-H. And, well, that year I decided to do a public speaking event and conduct of chapter meetings, which is like Parley Pro.
Okay.
And so that kind of introduced me to it, and my love for FFA has just skyrocketed since then.
Very cool. Good for you. So you're in the very first year of parliamentary procedure, but they call it. Say that again. What's the acronym stand for?
Well, when you're in junior high, they have conduct of chapter meetings, so
Okay.
CCM. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so yeah, my daughter's she's in her first year of high school, first year of FFA, and she's also doing that as well, planning to go on and compete in Parley Pro. So are you planning on doing that? It sounds like you are.
Yeah, we competed in Parley Pro just in January
Oh, okay.
and did districts, and then we have state coming up.
Okay, very good. Well, maybe one of these days I'll get to meet you in person watching you compete against my daughter. That'd be pretty fun.
That would be pretty cool.
Especially if you guys are both if you're competing against each other, that'll be at the national convention, so that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Very Oh, go
we went
ahead.
to nationals in CCM. We went to nationals
That's
just
great.
last year.
That's great. Man, that's cool. Good for you. Okay, so you got started with the bees in 5th grade?
Yeah, but it actually kind of went farther back than that. In second grade, I had to do a report on bees, and I absolutely hated it. I just bees. I didn't know why we had to do this report. I just didn't really understand them. Well, then in the fourth grade, I got to take a trip to California with my aunt and uncle, and they took us out to it's called the Bee Experience, and we got to go out and check these beehives. And man, I just thought it was the neatest thing, just these beehives and how they work. And so for the next year and a half, all I did was work and save my money so I could get my own bees.
Okay. So you fell in love with it. That bee experience was that was the ticket. That was the key.
It was kind of the fuel to the flame.
Okay. And so it was the public speaking that you did in 4-H, and also the fact that I'm assuming you could work on your bee business in the FFA that kind of brought you into the FFA. That was the kind of the natural transition, I guess.
Yeah, I'd had bees, and then just coming up through FFA and my ag teacher talking about SAEs, it was just this fit perfectly together.
Okay. That is great. Okay, so you're off and running, and now your interest is through the roof with the different competitions and things you found that you can do. That is really cool. Let's do this. I always love to acknowledge our FFA advisors. How many do you have at Stuart Public School, and what are their names?
I have two amazing advisors, Mr. Monty Larson and Mrs. Patty Hanslick. They put in so much time and effort, and I I couldn't ask for any better FFA advisors.
Awesome. Thank you so much for mentioning them. Let's talk about your SAE. So obviously it's involving bees, and the business name is Paxton 5 Beehive. So tell us about how this has evolved and grown since the 5th grade.
Well, in the fifth grade, I just had two hives. And one thing that's really happened over the years is I've had a lot of mistakes, learned a lot, and just over these last, well, 4 years now, I've lost about five beehives. And now this year, I've grown to getting four beehives. And I think I've lost two over the winter, but it's tremendous how much you can learn over the years. And this last year was the first year that I got a real honey harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taken a long time, but it's really paid off.
Okay. So you got your first honey harvest this year, and was that enough honey to? So let me back up. So your hives have obviously produced honey over the years, but you've left it in the hive for them to eat throughout the winter. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yep.
This year you were able to take some out for your own personal use. Were you able to sell some, or was it just personal use and maybe some small gifts this year?
I got to sell a lot this year.
Oh, cool.
It was it was crazy. It was a great year for bees. Like, well, all us people had to stay inside, but the bees just they did amazing. They got to go everywhere, and uh, yeah, this was the first year that they really produced a lot, and I still left a lot for them over the winter, but I didn't have to uh, leave it all for them. I got to take a lot for myself.
Okay, very cool. So Was this your first year ever then of entering into, I don't know, kind of a small business where you were packaging and marketing and selling a product?
Yeah, this was my first year, and it was really tough. It was a new experience, but I learned a lot through it. You learn a lot about selling and different things like that.
Okay. Now, the name of your business again is Paxton 5 Beehive. Did you have that name before you got the harvest, or once you had the harvest and you realized, hey, I need a business name so I can sell this excess honey? Did you come up with the name then?
Well, I actually came up with it a couple years before. I have I have four other brothers, so there's
Okay.
five boys of us in the house, and they like to be involved and they like to help out. And so, since there's five of us, we just figured Paxton Five Beehive.
Okay. Perfect. So they help you out?
They help me out as much as they can.
Okay. All right. So once you realized you were going to have honey to sell, then what was the process at that point? Was it all about figuring out how you're going to package it, how you're going to market it, label it, all that? What did you do?
Yeah, so when I've had this bee business for about 4 years now, it's grown a lot of interest in the community. They see me out working the bees. They see me doing things in the garage, and they're always asking about when will you have honey. So
Okay.
I actually had to make a list because
Ah,
so many people would ask, "Can I have honey?" So I had to start making a list. So I'd already had about 20 people signed up for honey before I even started to market it. So that was really nice. Just through word of mouth and getting my name out there, I'd already had people who wanted to buy my honey. So then after I got them taken care of, I kind of moved on to my family, my immediate family, asking if they want any. And eventually just through my Instagram and through mostly word of mouth, I got the rest of it sold. And when Christmas time came up, a lot of people wanted it for gifts. So I
that
got the rest.
man, that is great. So you had honey pre-sold before you ever were able to collect it and harvest it.
Yeah, and that was kind of nerve-wracking as well because I just kept thinking if I don't get a honey harvest,
Yeah.
like this could turn out bad.
Wow. Well, good. I'm happy for you that it turned out well. And, that's a concept in business. If you can pre-sell your product before you get going, it's really proof of concept. And it's a great reason to go ahead and pursue a business idea and to get that started. Man, in your case, people just driving by were like, I want some honey, and he's going to have it.
Yeah, it really spread, and especially talking about bees and public speaking. Like people really started to ask questions.
Okay, so tell me about the public speaking part then. Where were you talking about bees, and how are you getting that opportunity?
Yeah, so in 4-H, when I would do public speaking events, I usually always talked about my bees. It was what I was the most passionate about, and
Okay.
I just loved talking about them. And usually it was after those kind of events that people would come up to me and ask me more about my bees, ask me when I'd have honey ready. And then through that, they might tell their family, and I might get contacted by them. It just kind of spread exponentially that way. And it kind of transitioned into when I got into FFA events and started doing public speaking through them. I just continued to grow.
That is awesome. Man, that is great. It's funny you said you've always had an affinity for public speaking, but I mean you're just in your freshman year of high school. So, you think that comes later, but you got to started doing that in 4-H and liked it.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a great marketing tool for your future business.
hmm
That
Yeah, when I was in the junior high, uh, through seventh and eighth grade year, I got to do public speaking through FFA and making it to the state level and just even competing there. You just get to know a lot of people and
mhm.
you get to tell your story to a lot of people.
Man, that is great. That's really wonderful. So how do you package your honey? How large a containers are you selling it in?
Yeah, so I sell it in half pints, pints, quarts, and half gallons.
Okay.
And yeah, the packaging of that is I really try and do the best I can, like sanitizing all the jars and making sure my labels are on there just perfect. And my brothers will always tell me I'm really picky about it, but
Uh-huh.
I don't let them do a lot with packaging because I like to be able to control that.
Yeah, you want to be picky, right? You want that to be right. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So, man, half gallons. Is that the largest quantity, or did you say a gallon?
Just half gallons.
Okay.
I wanted to keep it down this year, but eventually I'll move on to gallons.
Okay. Well, that's going to be my next question for you then. So you've got, 3 more years of high school to go. Well, 3.5. Where do you want this business to go over the next several years?
Oh man, I want to grow it a lot. Just even from last year to this year, I went from 2 hives last year to 4 this year, and I just want to keep growing it. I've ordered about 5 more hives for next year, so I'll have at least 5 or 6. So I'm really hoping that my bees will survive this winter, and just through my next 3 years of high school, I just want to keep growing. I want to get more and more bees every year, and uh, while things do get busier, I love to find time for my bees.
Man, that's fantastic. That's going to be a lot of honey. That's
Yeah,
gonna that's
I
gonna
hope.
go into a big business. Well, let's talk about the survival. Obviously, you are in an unprecedented winter right now. Unbelievable temps. But there are people to the north of you and to the north of me that deal with temps like this every year, and they keep bees, and bees make it through the winter. So, what are you doing to help your bees survive?
Yeah, so every about Thanksgiving time, I like to winterize my bees, and that basically I insulate them with a bubble wrap. It's like a metallic bubble wrap, so that mice will not chew through and get into the hive,
Okay.
but it can also keep their heat inside. And another part of beekeeping that is really overlooked sometimes is ventilation. Like those bees can't have the same air all the time. So I need to make sure that while it may be cold air, they still need to have a little circulation in there so that they're just not suffocating. And so, yeah, by insulating them, putting them out in direct sunlight, and then I usually have a wind barrier around them. So whether that's like little hay bale, like straw bales, or
Hmm.
sometimes maybe a plastic wrap just around them, just to have some protection from the wind, good ventilation, and insulation for them is key.
Okay. Now, when you saw this forecast coming in, did it make you think I've got to do something additional, or were you just like, I've got them winterized, and it's up to them?
Yeah, I emailed my mom that day. I sent her a screenshot of the weather and just said we need to be praying for the bees. And
Yeah.
went and checked them out and uh, cleared out some of the entrance because every winter bees will die. And I just wanted to make sure that they still had that good ventilation,
Hmm.
but they also were insulated and had to rewrap some of them, just being that the insulation had fallen down or
Hmm.
something. But yeah, I'm just hoping they're doing good now.
Yeah, me too. Oh my goodness. Well, how has starting this and then selling your own honey and starting this business and marketing on Instagram and things like that, how has that influenced your thoughts about your future? Does this give you any ideas of what you want to do when you're done with high school?
Yeah, so just getting involved with an SAE is a huge thing, and I love doing it. And so past high school, I want to be an ag teacher, an ag educator, and just being involved in beekeeping and being able to talk with other people with entrepreneurships has just furthered my interest. Like even on Instagram, I have had local businesses be like, "Hey, we're an entrepreneurship too. Which could we have some honey just to
Hmm.
feature you?" And I love seeing other people's entrepreneurships and what they're doing for agriculture. So yeah, this beekeeping business has thrown me into thrown me into agriculture, and through that, I do want to be an ag educator when I grow up.
That's awesome. Well, man, we need you. So I'm happy about that, Will. That is wonderful. Well, let's do this. Before we wrap it up, I'd love to ask your advice for other students, and especially when it comes to public speaking. I think if somebody can get over the hump of that fear of public speaking and they can go out and they can embrace it, it really gives them an advantage out there in the world, out there in the marketplace. Tell everybody what you like about public speaking so much.
Public speaking it's a great thing for your future, and I think what most kids fear is failure. But one thing in public speaking is that through that failure, you're just going to get better. It's really tough at the time, like you might mess up or you just kind of stumble, but through public speaking and just that experience, you're going to become so much better in the future. Like you might not think that you'll ever need it, but just you everybody talks to people. Maybe you think that, hey, I just want to be a rancher when I grow up and I won't have to talk to people. Well, through everything, you're going to have to communicate and be able to do that well. So public speaking is just it's an amazing way to be able to learn how to communicate and get to know people in the community.
Awesome. Well, that was a great answer, Will, and it's very, very true that no matter what you do, you're going to be communicating with people. You're going to be selling one way or another, and it's all very, very important. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be on here.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, everybody, and thanks again to Will Paxton for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast. And hey, we'd love to have you click that subscribe button and become one of our subscribers here on our YouTube channel. And hey, please connect with us out there on social media as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And until next time, everybody, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.